Let's talk about the psychology of fake news, or the psychology behind fake news. How fake contents impact our internal psychological processes, perception, thinking, emotions, and how all that affects our judgment, our decisions, and our action. Fake news tend to provoke logical fallacies. There are many distortions in thinking, known as cognitive distortions. We will mention only some of them as cognitive dissonance. The tendency to reject credible information that contradicts our existing beliefs, the use of heuristics, mental shortcuts, because through evolution man has proven to be a lazy creature who avoids analysis, prefers simplicity and skip to quick assessments, biased to believe in information that confirm existing beliefs, or in the informations coming from people or groups we trust no matter how illogical they are, as experts, authorities, our inner circle, etc. Cognitive bias is a limitation in our thinking, temporary lapse in judgment, where one makes an error in thought or analysis that can lead us to faulty conclusions. Why can't facts change our mind? There are many flavors of cognitive bias, but one of the most researched is confirmation bias. We seek of information we believe or want to believe is true. It also leads us to ignore or minimize facts that threaten what we believe. It usually comes as a result of our brain's tendency to want to simplify information. Accepting information that aligns with whatever we already believe and ignoring any evidence suggesting otherwise helps us making sense of the world quickly, accepting our conclusions, and to move on. Let's see the example from everyday life. Maria fell head over heels in love with a guy she had recently met, telling us how smart and handsome he was, how extraordinarily gifted. She used to do that with all her dates. Idealizing them and wanting them to be as she imagined. That usually resulted in hard disappointments. The same situation repeats, unfortunately, over and over again. The anchoring effect is a cognitive bias that describes the common human tendency to rely too heavily on the first piece of information offered, the anchor, when making decisions. Example: current scientific data do not justify worries about the egg consumption, including egg yolk, when it comes to heart health. Dietary cholesterol does not translate into high levels of blood cholesterol, unlike for decades, since we know them as bad food. People were avoiding them because of cholesterol, since it was the first information given. On the contrary, soybeans contain a chemical called phytoestrogens. Very high levels of phytoestrogens can be toxic, so it's not so safe food as advertised before. Similar, during the negotiations and bargains, both sides are under the first price mentioned. Besides, when it comes to a reaction on the fake news, a person behaves differently when alone, differently when in a group, even if it comes to a virtual group. Speaking about the group contexts, even Gustave Le Bon, in his Psychology of the Crowd, notes that the effect of the crowd makes the person more relaxed. Social norms, less present, give way to behave in a certain way, It becomes depersonalized in a group context of anonymity and secrecy behind the group. The responsibility disappears. If shared with others, and thus significantly reduced. The fake news are often designed to interact by provoking a lively emotional response to rage instead of rational thinking. The creators of fake news, in addition, use the mechanism of repetition. So many times heard information begins to be perceived as true, or they use the phenomenon of collective false memories, which then rely on a collective consensus. What are the consequences of the fake news? On the global and national level, we have witnessed and we all know how the fear of taking a vaccine and protecting the health as a result of fake news produced by media have caused the harm and recurrence of extinct diseases. Or how creating xenophobia towards the refugees and immigrants seeking for salvation in some countries by creation of perception of them as threat and danger had caused hatred and even aggression towards those groups. Example, Gypsies and Jews are ethnic groups that suffered the most and were seen through the prejudices for centuries. Kids were threatened when disobedient, that gypsy will come and take them away. Even nowadays, media can provoke them to be seen as competition that could compromise our job position, etc. Like in this last case with Ukrainians, young people in focus. Talking about the young people, teens, and the problems and challenges that may occur concerning their fragile age. Teens spending more time online and less time engaging in real life, free play and autonomy. What are the effects on the next generation's mental, physical and spiritual health? Childhood was more or less unchanged for millennia, but this is childhood 2.0. Let's put our focus on some situations. A peer pressure is often present among the adolescents, and it certainly affects their mental health as a reflection of the false, perfect image of the other users. Those images are practically screaming, look at how happy I am, look how beautiful I am. Perfect images of their friends from the social networks where their profiles are created so that they give an impression of an ideal, luxurious life they seem to lead, can cause depression and sadness to those which lives are ordinary, those shy with not so many friends. By presenting false, unrealistic images on social media, young people who compare themselves can feel pressure that can hurt the body image of teenage girls by constantly exposing themselves to the ideal body type, leading to constant comparison of themselves to unrealistic standards. Additionally, Photoshop and filters are readily available to users playing into the unrealistic body image. When young people, especially girls, compare themselves negatively with artfully curated images of those who appear to be prettier, thinner, more popular and richer. All that can lead to depression, increase in depression and the loss of self-confidence. Without that, they are worried that their friends won't accept them if they are different. They are afraid of being rejected. Young people report that they feel anxiety, depression, and worries about body image. Peer pressure is also present when it comes to real threat of modern time, so-called job scams. Instead of positive, their first job experiences, often online jobs, become bitter experiences. As a result of their desire to confirm their worth and status in the group, they sometimes jump into conclusions and make dangerous choices by taking job scams as realistic job offers. Those announcements are created in a way to provoke their motives, offering high salaries for easy commitment. Fake companies create temptation, sometimes difficult to resist. Concerning their young age and interests, they are often targets of false training course providers. It's not just a fraud that will result in losing money, but also wasting time. E-learning scams are widely present. While online learning is booming, charlatans and scammers are looking to take advantage. They hook you in by selling a course, but then fail to provide a correct certificate or license. The words college and academy are unprotected when registering an organization at company's house. Therefore, anyone can set up an online learning course linked to a fake education center. There are two typical online scams. Firstly, the scammers change for an expensive and prestigious course before liquidating the organizations. Alternatively, buyers adapt into long-term membership commitments that are impossible to cancel, and the content is often freely available elsewhere. Scamming global conference providers offer fake event agendas by using the names of top academics, business leaders, and talking heads to advertise and sell tickets. Make sure it is a well-known provider and check it with a phone call. Don't part with any money until you have checked. To avoid online scams like this, people should look for training courses listed with many learning objectives and seek out independent reviews, sites such as Trustpilot.